Hello, everyone. My guest today is Louis Têtu. He is the chairman and chief executive officer at Coveo. Prior to the company, Louis co-founded Taleo Corporation, the leading international provider of cloud software for talent and human capital management. Before that, he was president of Baan SCS, the supply chain management solutions group of Baan, a global enterprise software company. Louis, are you ready to take us to the top?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, tell us about Coveo. What do you guys do and how do you make money?
Well, Coveo is I guess, a fast-growing vendor in an area named Insight Engines, and essentially what we do is intelligent search and machine learning-driven recommendations. So we power a lot of the websites that from companies customer service, intelligence, e-commerce recommendations, things of that nature.
Okay, and how do you make money? Is it a pure play SaaS company?
We are absolutely a pure play SaaS company. So we're a B2B enterprise software vendor, and we essentially sell software that makes our clients better.
And what does the average customer pay you per month?
It ranges anywhere from at the very low end, I would say $50,000 a year to several millions a year for the largest brands.
I don't want to go down every kind of customer cohort, but if I forced you to an average, would you say it's more around the kind of 50,000 mark,
more around 200,000 ACV annual recurring revenue for the software?
When someone pays you that, what are they getting? Is it a number of search queries per year, or what are they paying?
That's right, exactly. They're basically buying this by the drink. So we enable search queries, we enable content recommendations that allow people to self-serve, buy more, learn more, get what they need in context. So it's basically typically tiered to volume.
Yep. And Louis, when did you launch the company?
The company was launched a little more than a decade ago. It originally started as a search company, and then we added we took that company in the cloud. I was originally an investor in the company when I ran Taleo, and then loved the company so much that I joined. So we subsequently took the company in the cloud, got the company into analytics, and then 5 years ago started investing aggressively in machine learning.
Mm-hmm. And what are you at today in terms of how many customers you've scaled to?
We have about 1,000 installations, a little more than 1,000 actually. Mostly in the high-tech sector, financial services, and manufacturing.
And those are all paid, just to be clear, 1,000 paid customers?
Those are all paid. Those are all paid. We are a pure play B2B software vendor. We're actually in the space known as the Gartner Magic Quadrant top right or rightmost vendor, and benefit from a lot of recognition for people who need really advanced contextualization and very powerful recommendations on their digital experiences.
No, Luis, you said 1,000 customers. You had just said about a $200,000 ACV. That would put you at about $200 million a year right now in revenue. Is that accurate?
We don't disclose revenue. We're a private company. We recently raised an additional $125 million from a large Palo Alto investor. We're obviously growing very fast in the range of about 50% a year. And this is we're not the only company. Anytime you talk about machine learning, anytime you talk about personalization of digital experiences, driving more call deflection, more conversions, that's obviously a very hot topic right now.
Mm-hmm. Just to be clear again, you don't have to disclose revenue numbers, but I'm just taking two numbers you gave me. I want to make sure they're accurate. 1,000 customers and $200,000 ACV. If I just multiply those, why would those not be accurate?
The 200,000 ACV. Obviously, a company like ours has a history, so we've not always been at this pace. So the solution portfolio grew. Many companies today use Coveo in a broad range of applications. They'll start by putting Coveo on their customer communities, on their self-service. They'll go in their contact center, and we'll do their websites, their e-commerce. So there's a much broader range. So the deals have had a tendency, well, more than a tendency, the trend has been that the deals have grown quite a bit over the years, resulting in obviously a very healthy revenue. The company is about 350 employees today, so you can pretty much do the math.
What math?
The math around what's what scale, what range and scale we operate at, but we do not, per the investor desire, we do not disclose revenue.
Yeah, so I want to make sure I understand what you just said clearly. You have 1,000 paying customers. Historically, your price point was much lower. That average you gave me was not an average of your current customer base. It's an average of the sales, I would say, we've made over the past 2 to 3 years. More recently, obviously, as any software company, a decade ago, the company started very small, acquired smaller customers, and then with a smaller portfolio of solutions. And then as we grew the platform, we obviously inherited much larger accounts. The nice metric, I think, about Coveo is that we kind of land and expand. The customer giving us $1 today will give us an average of $1.58 in 2 years from now. Sorry, $1.52 to
$1.58 about 2 years from now. So there's a very good set of economics associated with the solutions we sell, and that's obviously why we're enjoying a lot of growth.
Yep. I won't push you any harder on this than this last question. Have you passed 100 million in ARR at this point?
We don't provide any more indications than that.
Do you think you'll cross that this year? Is that a good stretch goal?
We'll cross this and much more very imminently.
Okay, that's great. And why do you say much more? You just look at your pipeline and you go, "Wow, this is a healthy pipeline."
This is a space. I think Nathan. The machine learning in the whole area, as it relates to the whole area of personalizing digital experiences, driving more relevant digital experiences, so as to convert, whether it's sales or service or so on, is an extremely hot topic right now, and really a revolution. And so there's a lot of value being created. So for us, the performance of the company is intimately linked to the value, the set of economics that we can drive for our customers, and that happens to be quite significant. We power the App Exchange, at Salesforce, and we're embedded within Adobe Photoshop, and we power a lot of the self-service sites of a lot of the software companies.
Got it. Louis,
there's a lot of economics that drive that growth right now, and that's what makes the company very exciting.
It's a great product. I think the audience and myself, I totally understand, I think, where the product's coming from. I see the value. Walk me through some of the other economics here. You mentioned earlier you've raised additional capital. How much total have you raised to date?
We've raised a little in excess of 150 million to date, and obviously that's to fuel organic growth. We're growing at about 50. That's pretty much has been our steady growth for years.
So just to be clear on that 50%, you mean if you're close to 100 today, you were doing call it 70-ish or something like that about a year ago.
Revenue. Oh, I've lost your last sentence. Probably internet.
Sorry, Louis, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All I was saying is if you're imminent, you said, quoting you, imminent near the 100 million mark, you're saying 50% year-over-year growth. So call it something around 70-ish or 65-ish million a year run rate a year ago.
You can make your own math. Unfortunately, Nathan, I wish I could tell you more. I'm obligated not to.
Louis, sorry, you're frustrating. You're frustrating me a little bit because I'm just using your words. Yeah, you said imminently 100 million. I'm not making anything up. I'm just using what you told me. So if that's right. True, if you and 50% year-over-year growth is true, that would put you at around 70 million about a year ago. Why would that not be accurate?
Because there might be ways that the company is structured, but you're in the range.
Okay, fair enough. Good. We'll move on from that. Economics wise, it sounds like you've built a great engine in terms of driving expansion revenue from $1 to $1.58 over 2 years on customer accounts. Where is most of that expansion happening, and what pricing axes?
Well, what happens, Nathan, is that customers will engage us on a very specific use case. So a lot of them concerned about self-service, call deflection, bringing more and relevance and immediacy to consumers and customers. And as they experience that, they will have a tendency to expand the use of recommendations engines, for instance, going from self-service into their contact center to make sure that the agent also can experience more intelligence while answering customers. And then they'll want to take us into their websites to provide a personal and a more relevant experience.
Do you charge more for that though, Louis? Do you charge more for every install, or are you just normalizing around number of searches per month?
We do. Yeah, we do, Nathan. We'll charge more for these use cases because obviously that drives more queries and content consumption.
I see.
And that's basically the pricing of these platforms is based on.
Churn is critical in any SaaS business. Where are you at today in terms of churn?
We're at about, I would say, less than 5%, depending on the lines of business. We have lines of business that are at about 2.2%. We have lines of business that are around 5%. So,
and are we talking logo churn or revenue churn?
I'm talking revenue churn.
Okay, and on a monthly basis or annual?
On an annual basis.
Okay, so less than 5% revenue churn annually, and is that gross or net?
And net overall, this is a number we've published because that's the actual measurement. We're at about net of that churn. We're at about 158% over 24 months on average for the past 6 years.
Louis, I don't understand what that means. When you say 158%, are you talking about net revenue retention annually?
It basically means in the world of SaaS, what matters is obviously the long-term economic value of your customer base. So what their propensity to renew, but also their propensity to upsell. So what you're interested in looking at is not only how many customers you're going to lose, but of the you have, how much are they going to pay you? How much are they going to grow over a period of time? In our case, net of that churn, net of our churn rate of customers, if you take $1 million of subscription bookings today. Let me give you a practical example. If you take that $1 million, let's say next year that $1 million is going to be, maybe 970 or something. But then that cohort, if you fast forward 2 years from now, that cohort is going to be a 5,000 and almost 1.6 million, because those same customers will have expanded the use of our platform.
Why do you measure that? I understand net revenue retention, which is what you just gave, but typically that's measured on an annual basis, not on a 2-year basis. What is your net revenue retention on an annual basis?
No. Yeah, really, really important over time. Actually, we measure it over a much longer period because we've always looked at our businesses, and that's our team, and not only myself, but the whole team here at Coveo. We built Taleo, which was bought by Oracle for about $2 billion, and we were a large SaaS player with about $300 million of recurring revenue. What really matters here, when you think about a SaaS company, we're really in the world of actuaries. We're not in the world of accounting. So what's really important is understanding the long-term economic value of a cohort, of a customer cohort. And basically, when you land those accounts, how will these accounts behave over time? Will they still be there in 5 years from now? Will they be bigger or smaller? And so you can basically actualize that. And that gives you a sense of the actual value of that customer base. So that's a really, really important metric. I'm giving you a 2-year figure. On a 1-year basis, it's about 24% net of churn.
124%?
Actually, what to us, to be honest with you, is about 5 years. We're interested in understanding when we sell $1 million worth of subscriptions, what will that look like 5 years from now? And we're really building, and that gets factored in the R&D and all the product suite, to make sure that we keep growing the economics, because the cheapest customer to sell is the customer you have. Obviously.
Yeah. Louis, last kind of point here before we wrap. I've also had folks come on that, are in the same range you are, doing 100 million to 150 million in ARR. And they'll say, you know what, we don't even look at anything past 2 years because of how low our churn is. You could argue lifetime value is infinite, which leads you to very, very bad upfront decisions. So that's why I ask about why you use these 5-year metrics to make decisions today.
Yeah, we don't. Well, actually, we don't use. We look at it 5 years. We look at it long term. What you realize is if you use a company of our size will use. You're getting into finance here, but a company of our size will use discount rates to actualize money of about, because of our cost of capital, of about 15 to 20%. And so when you do what's called an NPV, a net present value, if you type that in. With that type of IRR, what you'll realize is that looking beyond 5, 6, 7, actually beyond 8 years out, it's a plateau basically. Yep. Because if you actualize money 10 years from now at 15% IRR, it's not worth a whole lot.
That's right.
So that's why we say 5 years is a good number. But again, those telling you that, value is infinite, nothing is infinite, obviously. For us, again, we look at actual customer growth. We look at churn, look at customer acquisition. That's a basic cash flow equation, and that's why recurring, healthy B2B recurring businesses tend to create a lot of value for sure.
Louis, we're out of time, so just quick answers here if you can. CAC, what are you spending to acquire customers?
We spend, depending on our lines of business, we spend between $1.20 to $1.70 to acquire a dollar of ACV.
Yep, good. That's great. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
I have a few favorite, but interesting question. I would say Good to Great is my all-time favorite, but I'm a big fan of an author named Richard Florida. If you know him, the economist.
Great. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
A lot of them. I'm fortunate to meet a lot of great people, but I guess my answer on this, Nathan, would be I try to stay away from white knights. I believe great CEOs eliminate their own job to an extent, and they know how to build and push a team to collaborate and so on. Getting the most out of others is what I admire. CEOs who tend to put their own success at the forefront, candidly.
Louis, sorry, I'm looking for like a name that other people would go study, right? Is there a CEO that you think?
A name. I wouldn't do justice to the other ones.
Okay, great. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building the business?
Well, search. Search is my favorite online tool for building the business. I use search.
What do you mean search?
Search in general, great search engines, from Google to more advanced search properties online and so on. Anything that gives me access to knowledge in context is my favorite. On a personal side, my favorite app is aviation weather.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
6.
And what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Married, 3 kids in college. Yep.
And how old are you, Louis?
I'm 54.
54. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Oh, I guess I wish that empowering others is really the secret to success, and both on a personal and financial side. So,
guys,
that's what I want them to know.
Empowering others is the secret to success. He launched Coveo in 2008 to build a much better kind of contextualized version of search. He's now working with over 1,000 customers that pay on average, call it 75-ish, 100 per month historically. More importantly, though, moving forward, he's landing folks about a $200,000 ACV, super close to a $100 million ARR run rate, less than 5% revenue churn annually, 124% net revenue retention annually. He turns $1 into $1.58 over 2 years on customer accounts typically, and to get those customers in the first place, spends anywhere between $1.20 and $1.70 to acquire a new dollar of ARR. He's got a team of about 350 people, has raised $150 million. Again, Coveo.com. Thank you so much for taking us to the top, Louis.
Thank you, Nathan. It was nice talking to you.